If relationships are the real currency in life, if referrals are the lifeblood of business, how do we, the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, compete in this ever-changing, fast-paced world? How do we become more so we can attract more? My name is Curtis Lewsey, and I'm your host. Those are the questions, and in this podcast, we will reveal the secrets. Oh, you guys are in store for an amazing next 45 minutes, hour, whatever ends up being. We could be talking for days. This is one of my very, very good friends, one of my best friends, Mr. Aladdin Kazran, and also a business partner. We talk almost every single day, and there's nobody better to talk about the topic of growth through giving and having a giving mindset and the abundance that showers back when you show up in the right ways in people's lives and stuff. And I want him to kick it off, kind of share his backstory, where he came from, and then what's led him up to where he is today, and then more importantly, his mindset around where he is today and going forward. So everybody, this is Mr. Aladdin Kazran. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you, Curtis. Thanks for having me. Hi for everybody at home that's watching. What an honor to be talked about, Curtis, in that sense. I'm really, really flattered and honored. Thanks for having me and thinking of me with this subject. Wow, what a beautiful subject.
Before you jump in, I want to give a little bit more context of why, before he jumps in. Here's a guy that I met over 12 years ago. And the first time that I met him, right, we meet him in a Starbucks. I saw him sitting front row in a seminar that I was doing. It was an all-day seminar. It was all about attracting success into your life. So he sat right up front with this smirk on his face, the whole time. We get done. I think I shook his hand and that was it. And then the next week we met up at a Starbucks. And he comes driving in with a beautiful Mercedes SL 500 drop top white. Remember that in Fairfield, Connecticut? And I just this dude just has a swagger about him. He had long hair down to his shoulders. He comes strolling on in, just confidence. It wasn't an arrogance. It was a confidence. And there's a fine line there. He comes in, we sit down and we talk business, talk life. And I'm like, dude, I love this dude. This guy is amazing. And then go figure. I'm like, nice car out there, bro. He's like, oh, you want it? Throws me the keys. He says, why don't you just take it for the weekend? Just swap cars. I think I had a Honda Accord or something. And he was like, what? I don't know this guy. I know him for literally minutes, and he's offering up to give me his Mercedes SL 500 for free just for the weekend to drive it around, this just blew my mind because I haven't really been around too many people like that. And then fast forward several years later, we get in business together. We do a lot of fun things together. And then, that was a network marketing company, and we learned a lot. And then I found myself out of that network marketing company. I wrote the book, obviously, as you guys know, Appreciation Marketing. And I was going through divorce and I just didn't know what to do. And so I called Aladdin. We're just talking for a while, just catching up. He's like, what is it you want to do, Curtis? Well, nobody has ever really asked me that question before. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what I really want to do? I want to dust off appreciation marketing. I believe it's a multi-million-dollar business and brand, and I really want to start a greeting card company. Why don't you do it? Well, it's kind of expensive. It's costs a lot of money programming. Well, do it. Let's do it. Let's figure it out. And you know what the crazy part is? He wasn't even asking for anything. And he invited me to move down to Miami. So I crashed with him for several months in Miami, came back to the Northeast, and then went back down to Orlando and lived at his place. This dude's giving me $6,000 cash every month. I know he's humble, so he'd never say that. But just here you go, Curtis. He didn't care if I bought groceries. He didn't care if I put gas in my car or paid for our programmer. He never asked. He just believed in me, which I was so blown away and so grateful for. And then here we are, fast forward, we're building a multi-million-dollar company together, and you're one of the most valuable assets that we have on our team. And it's just coming from a place of such contribution and abundance mentality. It's I'm forever grateful. And it's not just me that you've done this for in your life. You've done this for so many other people. And I just feel blessed to call you a friend and a business partner, brother. So I just want to share that up front so people kind of understood more of your heart and where you're at. So Just please share your backstory.
Man, I would love to do that. And my heart is so smiling right now. Thank you, Curtis. You know, by the way, if I die before you, please share that at my eulogy. I would love nothing more than have um, a lot of my friends speak about me that way. You know, like um, my name's Aladdin. Hi, hello everybody. Thank you, Curtis, for that introduction. Yeah. You know, I'm a giver, and haven't always been a giver. And a little bit about myself. My family grew. My family moved here when I was a little puppy, and we moved here because we're immigrant family. We come from Iran, and my mother wanted my older brother out of the country. There was a war going on at that time, so we ended up coming over, and we came over. My parents made love like bunnies, so we had a lot of family members. I have 6 brothers and sisters, and then of course his mom and dad, and then God knows everywhere in between. Right now, I'm very blessed to say my family has grown to over 45 members in our nuclear family, before cousins and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's a big family. But when we came over here, we came over as immigrants, no English. Dad got stuck up with all kinds of stuff internationally. So it was me, mom, and 2 brothers and an uncle. We lived really poor. We lived, now I know what it's called. It's HUD housing, food stamps, low income. We didn't have a car. We had 1 apartment, 1 bedroom, and there's 5 of us in 1 bedroom. I remember days where my mother would be pushing us to school in a shopping cart because we didn't have a car or anything like that. So anyway, fast forward, we grew up really poor. And then fast forward years later, call it, 16, 17 years later, I'm in, I'm leaving high school and getting into the car business because my older brother, that was the route he took, and he was successful at it. So I got in the car business, and getting into the car business is a really interesting industry because really it's about, winning. Really, it's about closing. Really, it's about closing the deal. Really, it's about making the sale that day, that person, because once they leave, they're never coming back. There's so many options for things. Well, I share that with you because that was completely the opposite of who I am today. And that experience, I'm really grateful for it because I got a lot of skills and abilities out of that experience to communicate, to ask for the sale, to do all these things. But really, it was at the expense of the other person. Really, it was at the expense of, me winning, you losing, me closing the deal, and you taking the car home type of deal. And I was in sales for a very short period of time. Then I moved to finance and then management and all this kind of stuff. And we became wildly successful, Curtis. I remember when I was 20 or right around that time period, my brother and my best friend, myself, and there was a total about 5 people. We walked into a transaction where we bought a really broken dealership in the ghetto of Jacksonville, Florida, and it was selling 20 cars a month. Just to give you an idea, that's nothing. So we went in and with our little team, in a period of 4 years, we became wildly successful. Which, by the way, I want to just put a little bookmark: team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with that little team, we became wildly successful in a very young age, which I don't really wish on very many people because I don't think it helps you more than I think it hurts actually.
Yeah, when your daily driver is a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, you have a couple of houses paid for, you have your own pilot and a couple of planes. Yeah, like that's quite a life.
It kind of changes how you look at things, right? So, and that's exactly what happened. I'm like 23 years old, and it sounds really pretty, by the way, on the surface, but underneath it wasn't very pretty. But 23 years old, wildly successful. You're right on the money. We had 750 employees at one point, 800 employees. We had 2 private planes, 2 full-time pilots that just followed me and my brothers around because they were basically our right-hand man, because we might need to get on a plane and fly to the next store or something. So they were always hovering around me and my 2 brothers all day, all long. That's all they did. go get the car, go get us lunch, go get the plane, that type of deal. And the company was valued at about $70 million, and very young, very stupid with money. I mean, we had 23 Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces, and Ferraris as our toys. We had, we had 2 yachts and 2 planes and a trucking company, a transport company. I mean, you could think about it. We had it, accounts in Swiss, all this kind of stuff. And really arrogant young man, this guy. God, the head was like this big, and you couldn't tell me anything. And a lot happened in 2008. The market crashed. We started losing everything. We started laying off 100 people at a time, and yeah, it was really, really strange times, and it was really painful because one thing we did really well, while we were winning at the customer's expense in the car business, what we did really well, and I learned this from my older brother, was we really invested in our people, in our employees. And what I mean by that is, you've been to Tony Robbins. Many people know Tony Robbins. He's got a 3-day event called Unleash the Power Within. If you don't know it, go to it and rock your world. I highly recommend it. Well, if you work for us and if you were any level of management, you had to go, mandatory.
Wow.
We paid for the ticket, you had to go, hands down. If you want to be in management, you got to go. And we thought in our mind that if we empowered our employees to be able to control this thing in a 12-hour workday where it's all toxic and negativity, we would get more results. Upper management, if you were in upper management, any level of upper management, you and your wife or your spouse were required to not only go to UPW, which was a 3-day, but Date with Destiny, and we paid for it, which is a 5-day event. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is a great gift, but it's also really scary. Like
thousands of dollars a person. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great gift. I mean, we bless a lot of people, but also very scary because a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to go. What are you asking me to go change for? And blah, blah, blah. I'm already perfect. And so we would send. And why I bring this up is because in 2008, when we started laying off 100 people at a time, well, imagine I pulled you in and now I know your wife. I know you have a child. We've celebrated together. I pushed you to grow yourself, your family. And now I got to tell you and your family, I'm sorry, we got to lay you off. So it was a really hard time for us. And that was in 2008. And I just got sick of the economy and the system and the policy and all that kind of stuff. And I adopted a belief that was really sad. I've demolished that belief now, but that was, hey, if I spend a lot of time building something, instantly it can be taken away. So why bother? That was a belief that I admired. So I got up and I left. I got sick and tired of the economy and the industry and all that stuff. I moved to Dominican Republic, started living off $1,200 a month off coconuts and fruit. And I became a surfer bum, and I loved it. I loved it. It was very
those
weird.
are two crazy extremes. So what do you feel like after had a lot of time to kind of downtime and think about a lot of this stuff, what were some of your biggest takeaways from all that experience from over 10 years of your life?
Yeah, so because to give you an alternative, on one side, when I was doing the car business and the executive role, like you said, my daily driver was a Gallardo. A Lamborghini Gallardo is what I was used to go to the gas station or get food. And then the really nice cars we'd have chauffeurs for. And then on the other side, in Dominican Republic, no car. I rode around on MotoCon little taxi, you know what I mean? It cost 50 cents to $1 go across town on this back of this little bike, very wildly different. Some of the lessons I got out of it was my happiness had nothing to do with my income. I was actually happier living in Dominican Republic, worry-free, learning how to surf and trade and all that kind of stuff, which also doesn't last very long. I want to share with you. I mean, after I did that for several months, I was like, okay, I know that I've got to create something while my time is here on this planet, and I just can't do the kite surfing and the surfing all day long. I gotta produce something. So I came back to the States after several months, and I was like, I gotta make money again. I gotta make fortune again. I got to make, oh, only this time I'm going to be smart with it. Because last time I was spending $2,000-$3,000 a day on entertainment, dancers, clubs, drink, alcohol, food, whatever you call it. So I was like, I'm going to do it different. I'm going to be smart this time. So I got back in the car business because I was really talented at it. And this was South Florida. This is around the time you went through your shift in your life. And I got in the car business, and instantly within 5-6 months, I was knocking down $40,000 a month, 10 grand a week. What kind of bills do you have, right? Like, and instantly full throttle. I was like, all right, let's do this thing. I went and got a $3,000 a month condo in Brickell in Miami, Bayside, it's really beautiful. And then I went and got a $150,000 car because I needed that. Traffic. And
so you learned a lot.
yeah, exactly. Went and did all of the same thing. Well, this is way different than the beginning. Okay, like this is 1/10 of what it was.
Yeah.
And went and did all of that stuff, and then about this time you came into my life, and you're like, hey, I'm making some decisions, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, we've already known each other at this point for 6-8 years.
7 years, yeah. We met and crossed paths and all that kind of stuff. But and so what I recognized at some point in this thing, I was like, damn, I'm not any happier. So now I went and got the car, the condo, and all this stuff, and I've got contrast. I've got years ago, really wealthy, in the middle, lived off nothing, and now I've got contrast because I've got more money now, right? I've got 10 grand a week coming in or 40 grand a month coming in. And I recognized I was no different of a human being. I was eating at the same places. I was doing the same activities that made me happy. I was riding my bike, Lido River in South Florida, to these trails. That was like entertainment for me. I like movies. I was still drinking at the time, but whatever, all the same entertainment stuff. And I'm like, well, hold on a second. Why do I need to kill myself over here for 40 grand a month or more, where really, and by the way, I learned this afterwards, but studies show that $75,000 a year or more, you're pretty happy. I mean, that's your happy level is at that time, unless you get uber rich or something. And I recognized it wasn't really the money that made me happy. So what was it? Well, I really loved helping people. I really loved, and here's something else that I learned through the process, through all of the turmoil, through all of the lessons, through all of the things. And we're going to talk about this for a second. Right now, I'm in a mastermind group around Think and Grow Rich with Napoleon Hill. But now what I've seen, and I've been with thousands of people, salespeople. I mean, I personally have trained 700-800 salespeople, 200-300 finance managers, and anywhere in between. And now in the last 2-3 years, I've been with over 15,000 real estate agents.
Mm-hmm.
In training on referrals, on blah, 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 on everything, any subject in business. And here's what I've learned. 90% of our pain, problem, worry, headaches, all of it comes from when I'm thinking or when you're thinking or when that person's thinking about themselves, about I. The word I, the word me, the word mine magnetizes worry, fear, doubt, problems, anguish, anxiety, stress, all of those things. Whenever I was focused on what I'm getting out, whenever I was focused on what I'm able to get, gain, receive, any of those types of words, all of these things would show up in my life. Worry, anguish, anxiety, pain, blah, 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 fear, doubt. As soon as I would be like, someone needs help, let me see how I can help them. Phone call. Curtis needs help. My friend Max needs help. Somebody needs help in some way. Not that they came and said, I need help. I just heard that they need help. Whether it's in between the lines that they're talking about, or they're physically saying, I need help. As soon as I would remove myself out of the equation and be like, how can I be in service to this other human being? All my problems would disappear. All worry
Wow.
and fear and doubt would go away. All roadblocks, speed bumps, everything would get out of the way. And all of a sudden, everything that I need, not only to support my fellow being, human, friend, brother, sister, that they need, but everything I need just randomly pops up. The right conversations, the right opportunities, the right this and that. I'll share with you, in that time where I was back at work from the Dominican Republic and I was making that money, um, I started traveling to the Dominican Republic almost every single month. And one, it was for service work. We feed around 800 orphans in the Dominican Republic through our foundation, orphansworldwide.org, orphansglobal.org. And we're in several countries, but Dominican Republic got my heart for some reason. And I wanted to go every weekend. I really wanted to go every weekend. There's so many, and there was a girl involved that I kind of liked too, so it's tense. Uh, Now, here's the deal. If you know anything about the car business, you are not taking every weekend off. Saturday is their game day. That
Yeah.
means, like, if you're a quarterback on a team and if you were producing like I was producing, you're somebody on the team. And imagine saying, I'm never working a Sunday. It's like you're in the NFL. How do you not work Sundays? Those are game days. Like, what do you just do? But I was like, no, I want to go. I want to go take care of these children. And of course, if it was for me, nothing would happen. There was no way it would happen. There was no way that the dealership, the world, the universe, the economy, all of that would line up for me to take every weekend off. However, my why was not because of me. I removed I out of the equation and I made it about giving. I made it about service. And guess what happened? All the speed bumps moved out of the way. All the right people came in that they needed to work that Saturday because they weren't going to be able to survive. Where I'm like 4 laps ahead. I'm like, I don't care about working that weekend. You can have it because you need it for your family. I'm going to go be in service. And now all of a sudden, all the in the car business, never heard of. If you're in the car business, you listen to this, you probably know this. The car business, they want you to live there 10, 12, 15 hours, 8 days a week. At this time, at this time, I was working. Now, mind you, this has never happened in my life before. I was working as an executive in the car business, 4 days on, 3 days off, and I would take my 3 days and go and be in service in the Dominican Republic. And unheard of,
Yeah, of
unheard of
course.
by me.
You're the number one guy. I know you turned around people they wanted to fire, and that person's running a whole location right now. I mean, like, and the reason why I enrolled you, and the reason why I worked to sell you on the opportunity with that real estate tech company prior to us going back to our company here, is that I knew I wasn't patient as you are, because you really are. When you're present, and when you're there. And so, like, when you are hearing people, I'm more quick to, like, cut it off, be like, next, let's get somebody else in here. They just don't have the right mindset. And you're like, no, 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 we can work with them. And then part of the reason why we helped grow that other guy, a guy that we partnered with, helped him grow his company to close to $500,000 a month in revenue, and we did it in 20 months. And so, like, there was a massive, we wouldn't have been able to do it if we didn't have the team that we had together to be able to grow that company. And so I see a lot of parallels here, and that you're always, even in the car business early on, in your early days, like, your brother poured into you, then therefore you poured into your people. And you still have people to this day calling you from 10, 15 years ago that they've never had a job like that in their life. And, like, when are you guys opening up another dealership? When are you guys going to do something? I want to get back in with you guys. And I think that's just a huge testament, not only you, your mom, your dad, and your entire family, of, like, who you guys are as people. So, I mean, that
Well, Kurt,
gift.
what you just said on is so important, because you're almost right at the pinnacle of how important this is. You said that some of our old employees, and you're 100% on point. So many of our employees from those days to this day will tell their employees, our name will come up because we had a big name in the car business, and they will say, don't say that about them. They were some of the best people I've ever worked with. I would love to work with them again. I would go do that. And I make up that because we invested in people,
Yeah.
not in outcomes. We invested in watching someone blossom, you know, and part of I believe that why why it works is because if you can't blossom in the position that you're in, does it mean you're bad seed? Or does it mean your positioning in the soil and then the sun and the treatment is not correct? Because your seed has nothing to do with it. Maybe if we planted the palm tree in Florida instead of in New York, the palm tree would give us coconuts. And it's just a matter of knowing that the individual that we're talking about dealing with is not a good or bad. It's a matter of, hey, where does this individual thrive? And can we be in service to them and help them be better than they ever imagined? It's like I was listening to Gary Keller's podcast
Yeah.
yesterday on I think it's called Think Like a CEO, which I
Yeah,
recommend.
it is.
And he talked about, he's like, listen, you're going to go very far by yourself. Let's just assume you go very far. And let's say that you either succeed or you don't succeed. Either way, you got XYZ far. Well, now if somebody on the far end of it, like Gary Keller, you, myself, or anybody on the team, was to help this individual start where we left off by speeding them up, they could go 10 times farther by us helping them to do that. And that's really what it comes down to, is helping people. It really comes into investing in people. You know, Richard Branson is somebody that I really love. And I really love him because of his philosophy with his companies and the people that he surrounds himself. His philosophy is not to be the biggest, baddest CEO in the planet. His philosophy is to empower you to be the biggest, baddest CEO in whatever field you're in. If you like shoes, then he wants to put you in that kind of a space where you thrive with shoes and let you run and let your wings expand. Because with your greatness, he rises to another level. And I don't know if you know, but Richard Branson manages 300-400 companies. That's a lot. 300-400 companies. Think about that for a second. And the only way it works, in my opinion, I make up about it, is that he invests in his people. He wants to see them expand and grow.
And when Warren Buffett buys a company, he says it's not always about the product or the service. You know, he's enrolling them as a team, as a people, you know, too. So like that's powerful stuff right there. And so I
Yeah.
think some of the biggest takeaways that I've gotten so far is that what you've realized about yourself is that when you come from more of a giving, what can I do for you, it seems like all your problems, all the things that you go, it goes away because you're in service. I mean, that's great. What about, I mean, I can't imagine that everything's all been gravy along the way. I know the car business has shifted, but what about some situations that you might have invested money, time, effort, and then it didn't pan out the way, or
Oh,
not that you
buddy.
were attached, not that you were, because most of the time when you're giving, you're not attached to an outcome, but like a lot of people are. And sometimes it's very difficult to get over being like screwed over or whatever you want to call it. Like, talk to us about that. Like,
Okay.
how do you
Um,
move forward from something that might,
Well, here's what I'll share with you, okay? Everything comes down to conditioning. So if you're conditioned to respond a certain way, you're going to respond a certain way. Now, the real question comes to what you're conditioning. Do you have a place to go condition? Do you have somewhere to go condition yourself? And great question, because right on the money. So you mentioned a previous gentleman that we work for, a marketing firm, and what we did for them. And my logic was the same, even though multiple people like that individual, like the last CEO, not that CEO, but multiple people like that CEO have, you could say, screwed me, done me wrong, did the opposite, whatever. I'll give you an example. I remember living in LA. I was living in Los Angeles, Orange County, right on the cuff of Newport Beach and Laguna. I love palm trees, if you don't know, and wealth. I like being around a lot of, I love going to Starbucks and seeing a Rolls Royce there and remind you that, hey, you need to get off your tush and go to work, you know? But anyway, I was in LA, and a doctor called me, a friend of the family. And he called me, and we'll leave his names out for a second. He called me, he's like, I love you. I want to partner with you. Now, mind you, this is listen to who's calling me. This guy makes $1 million a year, $2 million a year, super successful. lots of money, and real intelligent, but not an executor. And there's a huge difference between the two. Ideas are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
The people that go implement them and create them and put them into motion, very different subject. Anyway, so he calls me and he pursued me for like 6-7 months. He's like, hey, can you please get on board? This is what I want to do with you. I want to do this passport company with you. I'm still not interested, bro. Did that for 6 months. Finally, a window opened up in my life where I was in between something. He called me again and was like, let's do this. It's a lot of money. My friends are making $1 million a month. Think about that for a second. $1 million a month. It's like, I'm curious. Tell me about it. He goes, okay, well, we're going to be an expediting company. And we made an agreement. We're going to be partners, him and I. I was going to build it. I was going to build the machine, man the machine, drive the machine. He was going to fund the advertising. Think about that for a second, okay? He was going to fund the advertising. We're going to be partners. So went to work. I did zero money up front, no money up front, no money as salary, nothing, okay? I was like, all right, it's going to take me a few months to research, figure out where we need to be, blah, 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 who our competitors are, what it needs to look like, what's our values, like all this other stuff. It took 6 months to do that, recon. Another 12 months of building it. 12 months plus 6 months. 18 months before we saw the baby. 18 months from home, no pay. I was buying and selling cars on my own to pay my bills at the time so I could build this. This was I was chasing $1 million a month, buddy. Give me a Rolls Royce at Starbucks, 4 p.m. So anyway, so I built the machine 18 months later, and machine is built. And I said, hey, bro, machine's built. Website's up, back end's done. We've got licensing. We're nationwide capable of doing this. All we need is our money to go. Let's do this thing. He's like, okay. And by this time, someone had gotten into this guy's ear, and the words out of his mouth 18 months later was, excellent. I like it. I'm going to draw up some agreements. Now, mind you, we're business partners, 50-50. I was going to do all the work. You're going to fund it. We're going to run with this, right? And he's like, great. I'm going to send over the paperwork. It's 90-10. I said, what's 90-10? He's like, our partnership's 90-10. I was like, I don't want to take 90%. He's like, no, you get 10, I get 90. I said, this is not what we talked about. We have a problem here. Pump the brakes. I was like, at the very, very most, I would want it to be 60-40. Very most. And then at that, I'm going to plug in an operator to run the business, and I'm walking out. I'm just going to collect my thing as an owner. Just FYI. At 50-50, I'll drive the machine. And anyway, we went back and forth for a week. And I finally walked away from that deal. Wow. 18 months later, zero money. I said, here's the domain name. Here's the keys to the machine that you don't know how to drive and operate. Good luck. It took me 18 months to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I walked away. Now, a couple of things come into place. One could say, you're an idiot. You walked away, could have produced a lot of money for you. It's very true. Another thing you could say is, well, you're an idiot because you should have made your agreements up front, wrote them out. Another thing you could say is, well, you win because you're principled, blah, 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 blah. Really, in my opinion, let me tell you what happens. It really comes down to a few small things, in my opinion. There's a story about it, and that was one time, bro, one time. And I've gotten that 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I tell you what, Curtis, Lucy, we're in the process of building a multi-million dollar company right now, okay? And it's going to help thousands of business owners across the country. I will tell you that I have helped individuals, not like you, because you're very different. In fact, you got the memo about the purple shirt being a giver. I'm just kidding. But I have probably, and I'm sure you're very similar because we're very alike, I have built machines that produce lots of money for very many people before me and gotten screwed out of the process? Did I come out bitter at the end? Because it would bleed into what we're doing right now. Did I come out angry at the end? Because it would bleed into how I show up right now. All of those things would bleed into your psyche. It's like, if I focus on how I got screwed or what got taken advantage of or blah, 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 every time you and I have a conversation or any of the other companies I'm involved with, as soon as someone says something, I'm thinking in my head, I'm referring it to what happened here. And then therefore my perspective is about either victim or taking advantage or whatever, blah, 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 changes the whole soup. So I can't have any of that. And here's what I make up. It comes down to self-confidence. I make up that it comes down to confidence. Now, it comes down to confidence in thyself.
You know,
it comes down to confidence in Mother Nature. It comes down to self-confidence in what you reap, what you sow. And so I make up that throughout the years, I might not have known it. I'm sewing these quilts and giving these quilts away to other people because those supposedly were not mine. And I have confidence in the laws of nature. I have confidence that if I do good unto others, if I continuously come from a space of giving, then all I'm doing is filling my cup with goodness and giving, goodness and giving. Now, I don't know when I will be able to receive from my cup, but the more I demand of life, the more I demand of myself. This means that this cup is really big. This means that I need to be more patient. This means that I cannot demand that it be right now. This means that it's just like gardening. I need to dedicate morning, night, and afternoon on watering it, fertilizing it, and tending to it. When the crop pops, I have no idea. But I have to have confidence that the soil, the sun, and the water will do its thing in giving so that I can show up and be it.
Curtis, I know what I want to talk about real quick, because I know that you weren't necessarily even going to talk about this, and I'm forcing you to talk about it because it completely, absolutely changed my life. 18 months ago, when the company that we're building right now was almost out of business. Like I was about ready to raise money to start another business, and there was like a lot of things going on in my life. In 2018, I ended up getting my real estate license. I got my insurance license. Like I was all up in the air. And Aladdin's like, dude, you should really enroll and be a part of the Mastermind Life. And I was like, I wanted to do it just because Aladdin told me to do it. And then when I got it, because I've already read the book Think and Grow Rich like 4 or 5 times, but I've never actually treated it like a textbook. And then when I got in, I realized such amazing people, because you're a founder of this. And I want everybody to know this, because I actually truly want everybody watching this interview right now to enroll in it for sure. And I know you weren't even going to bring this up, and I'm forcing you to, because when I got in there and then we got to the part about decision, and Napoleon's talking about just make a decision and this and that. And I was like, okay, great. I'm going to do it. And like, I made the decision to take $1,000 and invest it in a couple of acquisition strategies. Actually, one of them that worked phenomenally well. And then that's when I wrote it out on paper and said, Aladdin, we've done this before. Let's do it again. Like this time it's for us. Are you in? And like, he's like, yeah, sure. I said, there's one caveat. I can't pay you a salary. I was like, sure, I'm in. And like, we'll figure it out later. And we did. And I'm forever grateful. And here we are, thousands and thousands of members later. That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for being around the energy that allowed me to lift up and be creative and get more confidence myself. I always thought I had confidence, but like when you go through that book and you go through the self-confidence formula and all this kind of stuff, and this is just you being a giver. Like you started out with this, you've made like no money for this, and you've given up hundreds and hundreds of hours over the last 2 years, just pouring into people. And so I think it's like a whopping couple $100, but it's like over an 8 or a 10-week period. You read 2 chapters a week, and then you talk about it for 75 minutes a week. I know I'm kind of like selling the program, and that's because I want to sell the program because it works. And it's about up here. And like, there's so many things that show up in our lives because of patterns from the past. Like you're saying, you could easily showed up in this business with you and I differently because of all the sour, tainted past experiences that you have, and you chose not to allow it to bleed into this one. Just like people have personal relationships where you have the ability to stop it and not have it bleed into your next personal relationship. So like, I want you to talk a little bit about the Mastermind Life, why you're so passionate about it, and what people can go to get some more information, because I know you run a free call to get people more information.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Curtis. And yeah, and that's the Mastermind Life has a really special place in my heart. But before I share on that, which is about me or the Mastermind Life, I want to share something that you just brought up. You mentioned the adventure we had before AM cards, and I want to share with people because many people are probably in that similar kind of boat, which is when we got involved. Rewind. When Curtis called me, he's like, "Hey, marketing company, really tycoon of an owner, whale of an owner, wants to do big things. You want to be involved?" And I was like, "Well, I've got a couple of experiences with people like that, which is they think for themselves, and then we end up getting screwed at the back end. However, let's see what's possible. Let's see what we can do." And I remember being involved in that and speaking with InView, all that kind of stuff. And we're doing all this cool stuff around the country. I think we enrolled over 15,000 members in that company you mentioned. When we walked away, they had like $500,000 a month in billing. Think about that. That's like we built a machine that was producing 5 million a year, something like that. And before we had done that, several of my mentors and several of people that I respect were like, "Hey, why are you doing this? Why are you killing yourself traveling 4 or 5 days a week? You're building that book of business. You have nothing in writing. Everything is words and blah, blah, blah." And I said, I don't know, but I know that the goal is to help this tycoon go public. And my actions, I'm just looking for the gifts that it's presenting in our lives right now. And I'm not really worried about what I'm getting. I'm looking at where is the gift in it for me? Where is the gift? And I want to invite you, if you're watching, make that your mantra. Make that your mantra for life. Everything that happens to you, the job you're in now, the relationship you're stuck in or thriving in, just ask yourself, where's the gift in it? And it might not present itself right now, because the gift in that experience, I walked away and I was like, shit, another year and a half, 18 months, engine. Here's the machine. We walked away with nothing. However, the gift in it was we were able to do what we're doing with our company 5 times faster because of what we learned through that process, being in that circle, being in that experience.
And
now,
and when we were in it, and like the thing is, because I know we're both forever grateful, and I truly believe life changing for both of us, even though like it was because just through osmosis, when you're around somebody that's such a mover and shaker, like you're gonna pick up some things. And like, because there's other people that have been through that situation that look like, I know all the people that we enrolled like are not bitter at all, and they're forever grateful to be a part of our team, because we treated them great, even though it wasn't our pocketbook that was paying their salaries and their bonuses and all that stuff. It was truly a team effort, and we had a heck of a lot of fun and so many gifts that came out of it. But the other thing that you're talking about too, that you didn't even talk about, was the biggest gift too, was like you went to Burning Man and met your your spouse and Amy and your beloved, and now have a baby, Aya. And it's like, all these things just happened to show up. I mean, like you were I made sure we scheduled you in California so you could go to Burning Man and take a little bit of time off. And then from there, I sent you to Hawaii. Remember, like you did a whole nother stint in California for a week, and then went to Hawaii. You invited her to go out to Hawaii. And and that was when there was a Hurricane Irma, remember? Because you couldn't fly back in time all the way. We had to move some stuff around in Ohio where you're supposed to be, and all this craziness. And you're like, oh yeah, everything's going on over there in Florida with Irma, and he's out in Hawaii and like hanging out. But I mean, there was a lot of gifts and there was a lot of amazing experiences that come out of it. But then, you shared something with me when I was, and for me personally, I met my spouse my wife and I have a baby because you invited me to come to Florida. I came down to Florida. I'm a big believer in the universe, God, whatever it is you want to, I truly believe that Amy would have showed up in your life somehow, some way anyway. And that Licia would have showed up in my life somehow, anyway. But I mean, I was here in Orlando living at your place, and I met Licia, and she was a manager of a Brazilian steakhouse, and I sent her a card, and then that's what started everything. And you moved back to Jacksonville. I stayed in Orlando, and we pursued our relationship. And it was just so many things that was like. But you shared something with me when I was going through some stuff. You're like, Curtis, bro, like, listen, like, everything is happening for you. It's not happening to you. Like, and you just changed my whole philosophy around. And it was like the heavens kind of opened up. I was like, wow, if I look at it like this, the crap that you're going through is happening for me. Why? Because I truly believe there's something that's over here that's going to be so amazing that you can't even like fathom how amazing it is. And like, if you believe
and you're
it,
getting ready for it. That's what that belief does. And you right on the money. It's everything is happening for us. And I want to believe that if you're a person, man or woman, that has greatness that you want to bring into your life, you have really big problems you need to deal with, because those problems is the conditioning of the human that you need to become. You need to go through that contrast to be able to have that. Without the contrast, which is, we want to say, a gift, we want to say the growth, we want to say the difference between where you are and where you want to go, that contrast normally is painful. But that pain is what gets you to become the man or woman that you want to become. And something you pointed that ties to the mastermind is part of the reason why we're one, able to succeed now the way we are, is because of our proximity to that man. Our proximity to someone that has a floor that's our ceiling. Think
way
about
beyond our ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, think about that. Being in a space where you're around other people, and one person's floor is your ceiling. Think about that. If you're in the same room and this guy's like, oh, I would never go below this number, and you're like, I have never made that number. Well, this person has the ability to sharing with you 1, 2, 3, or 4, perspectives that could change your paradigm of thinking. And then now all of a sudden, you have a new floor. You have a new ceiling. And this is why this mastermind is so important for me.
Definitely.
I love that, because we help our brothers and sisters step into their best lives, or at least start the process of doing it through this mastermind. And I believe what Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you will have everything that you want. And I make up that's why AM Cards is so powerful and successful. We help business owners stay in touch with their customers, show appreciation for their customers, show gratitude, and grow their business to their customers. And therefore, it helps us and helps them and helps everybody. Here's what I'll share with you. In the Mastermind Life, which, if you're not familiar, Napoleon Hill is a very near and dear person to my heart. He studied and dissected 500 of the most successful men and women of industry of our time. I'm talking about Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie. These are brilliant minds, and dissected them, made them 13 principles. And in this book, our mastermind is really simple. We just follow to the T what Napoleon Hill says to do. He says, this book's not meant to be read like a novel. This book's meant to be done like a textbook. It's meant to be done with a group. It's meant to be done where you talk about it and share and co-create the space. And that's what we do. And part of why I love what we do, and you mentioned for 2 years we've been pouring into people, I've seen thousands and thousands of people where their paradigms have shifted. And it's when they get, and Napoleon speaks about this, he says, when you understand that the day of the go-getter has passed, and today is the day of the go-giver, your life will change. when you come to your business or opportunity or whatever you're doing, and you come as a go-giver, everything changes. I'll give you an example. One of my brothers, I'm built, we're in quarantine, right? So I'm building all kinds of stuff in my backyard, and my girl keeps me really busy. And one of the things is I'm doing a fire pit, I'm doing all this kind of stuff. And I finally broke my back 2 days ago. I was like, I need help. I can't, these stones are so heavy. I'm getting older, I'm like, okay, fine. So I hired 2 detailers for my brother's business, and they came, and he pays them $10 an hour because that's the job that they get. And think about this: go giver, go getter. Subject. And the gentleman came, and I was like, "How much you make at your store?" Blah blah blah. I looked at what they're gonna do. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna pay you $20 an hour, and I'm gonna pay you $15 an hour." Okay, and every hour and a half, I want both of you to take a 15-minute break. I have Amy cook meals throughout the day. Bring the meals out. Think about this for a second. I have I find out that one of the guys likes blue Gatorade, the other one likes Red Bulls. Throughout the day, I'll sneak to the gas station and go get both of these Red Bulls and things because they like it. And think about this for a second. I could have been the guy that said, that's a $10 an hour job, and I want you guys to work. You handle your own lunch, blah, 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 blah. Vice versa, from the go-giver standpoint, I'm treating them like really good human beings. I'm offering them food. I'm offering them drinks. I'm offering them coaching. I'm offering them support. I'm also helping them. And here's what I get in return. They show up earlier. They're happier. They produce more. They talk good when they leave here. They're always excited to come back. It doesn't matter how back-breaking the work is. And I make up that when they go home, they send me blessings in some way, shape, or form. Now, I could also been the other guy, which paid him $10 an hour. Guess what it cost me? The difference from $10 an hour to $15 or $20 an hour is $20 for a full day's of work. But the $20 gets me loyalty, gets me a fan, and gets me somebody that will come break their backs because they want to be in my space because I am a go-giver. Are you that way with your employees? Or do you get the most out of your employees for the $2-3 extra dollars? And I want to say, all of the people we've ever hired in our lives, Curtis, they will follow us. And I'm talking about AM Cards employees or whatever the case might be. They will follow us to the end of days. They will leave whatever jobs they're doing to come work with us because of the way we treat our people, because of the way that we say, hey, by the way, if you're watching this call, if you're an employee of AM Cards, we require you to go through the Mastermind Life, the course, because we want you to work on your mindset. We want you to have a better life, because when you have a better life, you produce better. It goes into what you're doing, and therefore our customers feel it. Therefore, the phone calls for customer support gets it, all of that. And that's really what it's about. And by the way, Curtis, I hope that we figure out a way where we can give 1 or 2 or 3 of these experiences away for some of our listeners or followers.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We would love to have that.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely make that happen for absolutely. And very, very good. Anything else that you want to add up around the whole idea of growth through giving? And I'm saying growth through people, growth through being, growth through giving, so is there anything else you want to add?
I do want to add. Yeah, I do want to add.
If I was just to, start my day, or if I was, whatever you want to add, but also maybe a little takeaway, a little homework assignment, if you will, for me today, tomorrow. Is there something I can do to start this process? Even just because no matter where you are, there's always another level, right? And there's always another level that we can be more conscious and of around gratitude and around giving and blessing other people's lives.
Here's what I'll challenge you to do. It's one of the exercises that we do for one of our courses, but regardless of your resources, I invite you to take 4 or 5 days, okay? Take a week, And in this week, and you have to do it for more than 3 days, okay? Otherwise, you can't see it. But you had to do it for that. Try to practice 5 acts of kindness a day. Okay, think about this for a second. It does not have to be a mountain. It could be a text message of saying, hey, I appreciate the way you show up at work. I appreciate the way you handled it. Buy someone coffee at Starbucks that's behind you without anything in return, without saying who you are, without a 5 acts of kindness, and do it for a week. And the reason why we say do it for a week is because you probably have 3 days of caca residual karma that's got to get cleaned out. So 3 days of it, you're cleaning out to get back to 0. And then after that, you'll really start, because you'll start feeling different. You'll start experiencing life different. It's like you change your goggles and you replace them with these really beautiful goggles that makes you see the world like this.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you see it through sunshine and possibilities and beauty versus doom and gloom, dark forest type of deal, you know? And so that would be one of them. Another one is if you have AM cards, if you're a member or a user, use the system. Send out 2 or 3 cards a day and just tell someone that they're valuable or they're important or that you appreciate them. And here's what I'll share with you. The moment you remove you from the equation of what you're receiving, the moment you start setting yourself up for something way bigger than your little mind can fathom, way bigger than you. And the bigger goals and dreams you have might mean that you need to do it a little bit longer or be a little bit more patient. But what helps you do those things is your environment. Do you have a place where you go check in once a week to make sure you're on the right course of where you're going in life? If you don't, well, I mean, obviously you can join AM Cards, but you can also join the Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Life. And we will provide that space for you so that you have a weekly check-in on where you're going, how you're doing, all of those things.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and going through this. I don't even know how long we were on here, but it blew by so fast. So
Yes,
thank you so much. I really appreciate you and love you, brother. And I hope that everybody got a lot out of this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Curtis.
Hey there, it's Curtis again. If you have not downloaded the 7 most powerful referral secrets, hop on over to referralsecrets.com. It's free. That's simply referralsecrets.com. Also, we give away prizes every week to our subscribers. So make sure you click the subscribe button. Thank you again for listening to another episode of Referral Secrets.